Uh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Man,
going
there's
on?
something about that doggone beat, brother. I absolutely love that beat. It just does something to my soul. I don't know what it is, but it does it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that.
I'm about to cut a rug, but I forgot who we had on the show today. I don't want her to show me up.
I know, right? We got a real live dancing with the star.
Dancing with the
Stage on here
stars.
today. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm ready to get into this show, man. I mean, we got a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack on today's show, man. I'm gonna quickly introduce her and we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started.
Cool.
Tonight, man, we have an amazing young lady. I had a chance to meet her at one of the Real Producers events, and I've been connected to her ever since then, staying in touch with her. And she's been in the business 8 years, been the top 2% of NEFAR's realtors for the past 4 years. She also has the certified residential specialist designation, which is like top tier Ph.D. level of being in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
She's on the Florida Communication Director of the Residential Real Estate Council back in 2020. Something I didn't know about it. She got 6 kids. Didn't know that.
6, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that.
Like six.
Wow.
Like 6.
Wow.
6. Those from Houston. First generation Cuban American.
Okay.
And some of the things she loves doing, man. She's been selected as Jacksonville Star in the First Coast Dance with the Stars event. She's been first place in a Pro-Am competition back in 2020. And man, check this out. She's currently living on a red tugboat called Lulu, and she's writing 2 books, man.
Wait, living where?
On a little red tugboat named Lulu. I don't know where the name Lulu come from, but hey, we're gonna find out today.
We're gonna find out.
Absolutely. And she's currently writing 2 books, man. So let's give it up for our guest tonight, Miss Lucia Fernandez.
I don't know. We got snaps. You got snaps. Yeah, there it is.
There we go. She got that salsa snap. So
she do that salsa thing flowing. I love it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Before we jump into everything, Maurice, I gotta ask the question.
Yes.
How are we living on a boat, and how you come up with the name Lulu? Before we start, that's what I want to know first.
Okay. Can you hear me all right?
You're fine.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this podcast. I'm super excited, and I'm just grateful. I wish you much success, and we get everyone to sign up and subscribe to your podcast.
There you go.
Because this is what it's all about, real talk and real estate, for sure. So to answer your question, which one do you want answered first? How did I get to the name?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so Lulu means an outstanding person or thing. And so I decided that would be the appropriate name for my little red tugboat, Lulu, because she's a cute little outstanding tugboat, and she reminds me to be outstanding every day and really give it my all.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And how did I get to living on her? Well, this little thing called Hurricane Ian, and then his little sister, Hurricane Nicole.
Right.
Right. About 9 months ago, I had just moved to South Davis Shores in St. Augustine. And I bought this great house that's right across from the Matanzas River, and unfortunately, my house flooded. Now, that wasn't the intention when I bought Lulu a couple of years ago. I actually bought her as a gift to my clients, really, to serve them and give them a sunset cruise after conducting a real estate transaction with them, just to show them some love, and do sunset cruises and show waterfront property. And what happened was, I didn't get to that point to launch her, because I found myself displaced by the hurricane. I had almost 3 feet of floodwaters come into my house. Wow. And so I'm currently living on her full time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Life threw you some lemonades and some lemons, and you made lemonade out of it.
Absolutely. You have to, right? I mean,
yeah.
Can't let a little old hurricane,
Can't let nothing stop you. I love it. Go ahead, Maurice. I had to ask that question. I know that's not the protocol, but I had to ask the question.
It's all good. I was going to keep it going with the question. So that kind of leads me to my question. And so 3 feet of water. I know you're writing a book. Kind of tell us about the book you're writing that encompasses your incident of these 2 hurricanes.
Okay, so to tell it, I'll be real. Like, I can only be transparent and authentic.
Please.
That's how
Yes.
I live my life, right? And
Yes.
so I had another Facebook account before I had to start this new one. Anyway, because my house flooded, my phone got wet, so I had to start a whole new account. So what happened was, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, right? I went on Facebook and I said, hey, listen, my house is flooding. I don't know what to do, right? I done the precautionary measures and I filled the sandbags and I put them around my house. And then I just went on to Facebook. At that time, I had about 4,000 connections, right? And about 1,000 really good friends. And what happened was people were just saying, we're praying for you. You need to do this, do that. And I learned a lot. I was very, if anyone saw me posting to Facebook, I was a mess. I labeled myself as a victim, and I didn't know where the heck, can we say cuss words here? I'm sorry. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Heck is a cuss word. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's real. It's real. So I was very much victimized. I didn't know which way to go. There's a lot of trauma associated with losing all of your belongings and seeing them all get wet. And I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do as a realtor, and I didn't know what to do as a citizen, right? So that led me to really, your testimonies and your test, right? So
Good.
that led me to, well, what do we learn when we're in real estate school? We learn all the things we can't do. We really don't know how to serve others. And so that led me to this idea that I can't have other people go through what I went through knowing what I know now. And that is that there are resources out there. There are ways that I had no idea about. I was lucky enough to have the mayor come to my house. I was lucky enough to have the fire chief come to my house and said, Lucia, use the power of social media and get all this wet stuff on the curb. I mean, try and get as much of this out as possible before you have another issue, which is mold and mildew and just it was just awful. So that led me to, I'm very passionate about this now because we're not taught about what do we do. We're just told, oh, is the house in a flood zone? And is it X or is it Y or whatever? Do you need flood insurance? But we really don't know what that means. What does that really mean when your house floods? Do you have the right type of flood insurance coverage? For myself, I was very underinsured. So having contents coverage is very different than the coverage that you have for the building. So for example, in my case, I had building coverage of like $250,000, but I only had personal contents coverage of $20,000 for my entire house.
Wow.
So can you imagine? I mean, you're looking at all this stuff that's wet and maybe it has sewage and it's salt water and it's chemicals from everyone else's, garages. And it's all just flowing through everything. And you're thinking, do I really want to try and salvage this or not?
Wow.
Yeah.
So that led me to now wanting to speak about this topic to really inform others so that we can add value to people who come to Florida, because, those are the two things that people ask. They ask, can you tell me about alligators? And can you tell me about hurricanes, right? Isn't that true?
That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, and we can answer that first question very simply in one sentence. Yes, assume any body of water has an alligator. Now, the hurricane question, we usually say, well, it doesn't really hit us, but when you've got storm surge and a king tide and you're in a low-lying area and we have beautiful historic St. Augustine, the chances of flooding are pretty high. And even if you're not in a flood zone, I still highly recommend people get flood insurance, because that at the end of the day is going to really save a lot of time if you have an inventory of your things. So anyway, that's what's led me to write this book about a realtor's guide to how to serve others in a catastrophe. So whether it's a flood event or a wind event, we still need to learn to be able to serve our clients better.
I love it.
Got you. So Lucille, let's
get into it.
Let's kind of switch topics a little bit. And we're gonna kind of go all around. But I want to start from,
tell us a little bit about it.
First generation Cuban American. How did you end up from Houston to Jacksonville, Florida? Give us that rundown. How did that happen?
Give us that rundown. Who is Lucia?
Exactly.
How you say your first name? How you say it?
Lucia. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, a little synopsis. My dad was born in Havana, Cuba. He came to the United States on one of those Peter Pan flights. He was 16. He met my mom in Houston, had me there. Not many Cubans from Houston, you know.
That's why I was like, that doesn't sound right.
No.
Right? But then that was back in the day when all the Cubans were moving to Miami. So unfortunately, they split up, and I've lived between Houston and Miami most of my life. And so my dad taught me, and he's still alive today, thank God. I am very in admiration of my father, because he told me some very things that still hold true to me today, which is, Lucia, you come to this country, you give, you don't take. What can you do to give? You work hard. And he said, I don't care if you want to be a garbage collector, you be the best one there.
That's good.
And work ethic was something that I saw that he lived every day. When he had started off as a waiter, then he became a mechanic, and then he had his own oil and gas business. And luckily, you know, he rose to the top, and we lived in North Miami Beach. I lived a very wonderful life. But I've seen both sides of it, right? So he is an inspiration to me, and still is today. And he's taught me about a good work ethic and being honest and serving others, and really, you know, learning to come to this country and assimilate and give back.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I made it to Florida, I guess. I moved back here when I was about 20, and I graduated from Florida State University.
Got you. So how'd you end up in Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's another story. The version is, I was married before. I was living in Orlando, and yes, you mentioned I have 6 kids. I have 5 daughters and a son. Started young, you know, back in the day. It was like, married this nice Cuban man. And anyway, so I have a husband. That's what I call him.
A husband. He was your husband. A husband.
My husband.
So he was your husband. Got you.
Yeah. And I was raising kids. So I had my degrees. My dad said, you know, another thing he said was, get your education, because that's something that can never be taken away from you, no matter what happens in life, right? So luckily, with 2 kids under 2, I graduated with honors at Florida State University. I never used my degree as a paralegal. So I came to Jacksonville after my divorce to work at a high-end law firm, which we did a personal injury litigation at the time, and it was complex litigation. So I was going to trial, saw a variety of cases, and that really served me well in the profession. I enjoy serving clients and doing intakes, and so that professionalism and ethics has always stayed with me. That's who I am as a person, who I align with, and so that is actually a great skill set to transfer into real estate. And one of the reasons why I've been pretty successful.
That was actually going to be my next question. So I mean, that was a perfect setup. So how do we transition from law to real estate?
Right. You know, I think we all have skill sets that are transferable from, even if, you know, I waited tables at one time at my uncle's restaurant. They're just some customer service skills that are transferable that we can all utilize, and how to serve the public, because ultimately we're there to serve them and provide them with our knowledge and value and insight, with, you know, and so the legal field taught me that professionalism and ethics are really super important when we have several people joining the profession, our profession in real estate, thinking all we do is open doors.
Right.
And we don't. There's so much more to a real estate transaction than opening doors and sending listings of properties, right? As you know, I mean, you're in the business. And so how can you continually think of ways that you can transfer those skills to serve your people? Well, your people will value those things.
So it's good. I understand. So I understand the skill sets that you had that transferred over. But what was that pivotal moment in your life that made you switch from law into real estate? What happened? Give us the real.
Totally missed that episode. Sorry. Okay. Well, I did have small children at the time. It was really stressful because we were going to trial, and then I transitioned into marketing, actually. Okay. So I went into non-for-profit. I started working at Nemours as a marketing coordinator, and I love marketing. I feel like marketing is just, you know, it's so simple. You're telling people about this great restaurant, right? You're going to tell everyone. You're going to tell them about the place down the way or a movie that you've seen that you really love. So it's the same in real estate. So I feel like whether it's my faith, I'm a Christian, I feel like I'm not really selling. I'm just sharing really good news about who I am. And I really want to share that wealth of knowledge with you because I want you to benefit from it in some way, shape, or form, right? So those two skills, those skills in the legal field and the skills in marketing have really helped me, I feel, and competency, you know, being confident who you are, that you're a competent person, you know, those skills have allowed me to really be successful. And so I think those are the three things that are really the most important. But as far as pivotal role, I mean, Chris, I mean, you know, yeah, it was just time to leave and to move on. And then unfortunately at Nemours, we all got, like 30 of us got downsized. So I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to work for someone else anymore. I'm going to do my own thing.
So life happened. So
yeah.
What was it? Was there somebody that was involved in the real estate industry that you looked to, that you thought, hey, I could probably do that and do it at a higher level based upon my skill sets that I possess?
Yeah. Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
I wish I could say that, you know, I had this great someone that I was following or whatever, but no, actually it's kind of a funny story. I literally ran into real estate. As I mentioned, I was downsized from this position in marketing at Nemours, which are the home office is here in Jacksonville. And my two girlfriends that I was running with, we were training for a half marathon, and they're like, so, hey, Lucia, what are you doing? And I had gotten, you know, we had all gotten the boot kind of like at the end of or middle of August. And this was November. And she goes, well, what are you doing this particular week in November? And I said, well, I really don't have any plans. I had severance till the end of the month, till the end of the year, right? So December. So she goes, well, we're taking this real estate course. You want to go with us? And it was like a 1-week course every single day, including Sunday, you know, 8 hours a day, you know, here at Florida Real Estate Institute. Great teachers.
Right there on Wells Road. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I was like, well, sure, I'll do it. Now, the three of us, only 2 of us got our license. One of them worked in the field for just a little bit. And I was the only one who actually went in and did this. I've been doing this for 8 years now. So that's kind of how that happened.
Wow. So they're no longer even in the business.
No,
they're not.
No.
Wow.
Of all the people you would think, you wouldn't have thought it would have been me. But then I was like, no, I kind of think I like this. I have something that I can then offer here. I can offer other people.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. So tell us about how that. Okay, so you made the transition to real estate. So tell us about that first year in real estate. How was it for you?
You know, as we talked about that 1-week course, you know, what you're taught in real estate is everything that you cannot do. You can't take them here. You can't steer. You can't do this. You can't do that. And then I'm thinking, what the heck can I do? You know, what can I say?
Right. You can open a lockbox.
Right. And here I was coming from a field in the legal field where you value your license. You don't want to be in a, you know, we have a very litigious nation. So you don't want to be in a situation where you have to defend yourself. So I was very careful what I said. So that first year was a little challenging because I felt like I was a sponge, just soaking up everything. Luckily, the broker I was with at the time, and can I say that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I love my time at Coldwell Banker Vanguard. Pete Dalton is a man of vision, the broker owner. And I feel like he, in particular, was the one who said, you know, it was like, got to work on skills. You got to know your stuff. Because here I went from not knowing how to do anything. I mean, this is how crazy it was, Chris and Maurice. I remember going up to a house and I didn't even know how to unlock the lockbox. Like, who teaches you that? Nobody does. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to work the app and how to figure out. So you're going from someone who's so green and you don't know how to open up a lockbox to then realizing that education and competence are the most important things, right? So he had us learn a listing presentation, learn a buyer's presentation, learn the contracts, learn, you know, word for word, what does it mean? What do these paragraphs mean? And then how can you provide value to those people? So that first year, I think I did maybe had 5 closings, 5 transactions, but I felt like that was my learning year. I really needed to just soak it up and take those bits and pieces and then go forward from there.
Was there ever a time in that first year? I know you got a question, Maurice. Was there ever a time in that first year where you thought, "Oh my God, I think I made a big mistake"? And then, so how did you transit? No, I didn't think I made a big mistake. I actually felt like this was truly my calling. Okay.
Like, you know, like all these things in life happen, and you know, when you look back 2020, you realize some of those things, why they happened the way they did, whether it's business, personal, what have you. And I was just grateful. I was super grateful. I was just like, wow, this is so awesome. I get to have my own schedule, have some structure, have flexibility. It gave me the freedom that I needed raising my children at the time and being present for them. But it also allowed me many opportunities to continue to grow and learn.
That's good.
Got you. Go ahead, Chris.
What do you think, since we talk about the first year in real estate and you didn't have any regrets? You know, statistically, they talk about the first year in real estate for most agents is very, very stressful. They get out of the business. I mean, the numbers is tremendous. What do you think it is that in their first year that most agents fail at? The reason why they fall out of the business. What do you think that is?
A couple of things. I feel like there are, you know, some expectations that are unrealistic. I feel that they don't have a good mentor, perhaps. They're not following up. They think it's easy money, and it's not. So, and they're not spending enough time on their education and learning. So I think if you have unrealistic expectations, I mean, I've mentored several agents through the years, and you know, the first thing I say is that you need to have at least 6 months saved up of your living expenses, because it's not going to be, you know, like it's going to be a while before you have your first closing, and so many things can happen during that transaction. Remember, 160 things happen from contract to closing. You could fall out of escrow, you know, buyers change their mind, sellers change their mind. So you can't, you know, depend on that. And the other mistake I see a lot is that people want to half time it. You can't time it. You're either all in or you're not, right? And so for me, it wasn't a question of, did I make a mistake? It was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to give it 1,000% and learn it all and just jump in. And I remember kind of going to your question, Chris, is that I remember I went to a real estate conference with Coldwell Banker, and I was the new kid on the block. And I went to, I think it was Chicago, was one of their, you know, our company events. And I remember there was like 20 people, and no one knew who the heck I was, but I was just hanging out. And these were all like top producers in my company, right? And they were selling like $20-30 million of real estate. And I was just like a fly on the wall at the dinner table, listening to them have conversation, because I wanted to learn. And I'm like, well, why do I want to start down here? I want to go you know, to the top and learn from the best. Why, like, you know, pass it, you know, kind of a thing.
Got you. So let me ask you this then. So you said you do a little bit of mentoring. So what advice, if you haven't already, what advice are you giving, or would you give to agents who need to still have a full-time job before they go full-fledged into the business?
That's a tough one, because I think that you really have to know your why. Know your why. Why are you really in it?
That's good.
That's good. Know your why, because that will motivate you to do the extra research, to go to some of these listings, to learn how to price, to study the market, to understand the market, and why is one house priced at a certain price in this neighborhood, but another one can be $100,000 more in a different neighborhood. You know, understand the data. The numbers don't lie, right? And it's our job it's our job really to advise our clients based on our experience and knowledge. And you can't gain that knowledge unless you don't see and feel and touch what the differences are.
Gotcha.
So I think so know your why. Why do you really want to get into it? What, you know, if it's freedom, flexibility, if it's the money, if it's a combination of those things, well, then what is that going to look like for you? Because you have to be really structured to, you know, to be successful, I believe.
Got you.
What do you think if you had to go back and tell, because you've been in the business now 8 years, hugely successful, did some amazing things, what would you go back and tell those first couple year self how to make this business work even faster for you? What would you tell yourself?
I think I would have gotten out of my own way a lot more, because, you know, there's that fear that we all have that we're not enough, maybe that we don't know enough. I would have probably taken a lot more chances, would have put myself out there, and would have just said, you know, why not? Why not try and get a $1 million listing, or why not make that connection or go to that networking event and just be yourself? And I think sometimes we get caught up into, we're not this, we're not that, we don't have this, we don't have that, and that makes you feel it's your own limiting self-limiting beliefs, right? And so once you have that competence, I just felt like, you know, I would have gotten out of my own way sooner.
Gotcha. So kind of tell us a little bit more about that. I know you mentioned a couple of things, but what else was there that that was holding you back, or that you were putting in front of yourself to block you from actually getting to that achievement even faster?
You know, I will say that life happens as well, right? So if you look back on my stats, it's nothing that really will blow you away, I feel like, because in every single year that I was in real estate, unfortunately, I had some personal life event that happened that kept me from actually working a whole year, just like this past year.
Yeah.
And so then I thought, well, gosh, if I could do that much real estate business, and from January to July or August, can you imagine what kind of business I could do if I worked the whole year?
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful, though, that I am my own business owner, and that I can be present and deal with a personal health issue, or a divorce, or one of my kids needing me to be present, and I could still have things coming down the pipeline and closing, and I could still have money set aside where I can focus and be present where I needed to be at the time, right? So I think, you know, I don't think I would have changed a whole lot, other than just been a little bit more aggressive and more structured in my systems, and in my marketing, which is kind of ironic that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
You talked about, you know, breaking into newer markets. You talked about $1 million homes and things like that. What advice would you give someone? Because I know that's a big thing. People always want to start selling those $1 million homes, and they want to be on $1 million listing. What do you think that the thing was that allowed you the opportunity to actually go into these particular markets and do it at a high level? What do you think that is?
Well, it's part of it is competence. A lot of it is education. I'm currently still transitioning into that. Every opportunity that you have is an opportunity for someone to refer you to a friend who has a home at a higher price point, right? It's really about serving. But I would say ultimately the biggest differentiator between someone as myself or someone that's new coming into the market is going to be education and your skill set. Because, you know, this is, as you both know, this is someone's, usually their largest financial asset transaction that they're going to have. Why are we allowing people to put that in the hands of someone that has a basic state education?
There you go.
Right? That doesn't take the time to do not just the required continuing education, but additional education that's super important, like, you know, real estate negotiation, pricing strategy, you know, smart home technology, all of those things, because that is going to differentiate you amongst the 12,000 realtors that there are in Northeast Florida. And once you provide that value to a client, they're going to recognize that skill set that you have, that you're a little bit different than the 12,000 other people here, than my friend's friend, you know, sister who has a real estate license, you know? So at the end of the day, skills wins it. And being authentic and honest. I feel like that's the biggest thing.
It's good. And I think in this day and age, with the speed of technology, the buyers are a little bit more, the sellers are a little bit more savvy. The buyers are more savvy because of the speed of the internet.
Right.
And so, like you said, you pretty much got to be on top of your game because they're testing you, especially in those higher end markets, because they already know what the answer is going to be. They want to find out, do you know what the answer is?
Right.
So yeah, the skill set and expertise is going to be a key. I agree.
Got you.
Mark?
So Lucille, let's ask another question. So based on your experience and everything you've done thus far, what exactly would you tell, or what exactly advice would you give to brand new agents who are just coming into the business? Like, what would you tell them? Okay, we talked about their why, and some will have a great why, but I mean, when those bills start coming in and deals ain't coming in, what advice or what are you telling those new agents that you're mentoring that are just coming into the business?
Okay, so you have to have systems in place.
Hmm.
There has to be. So first of all, who are you and what is it? What is your goal? So you have to set a goal, obviously, and is it and then why are you at that number? What is your sweet spot? What is something that you normally do anyway that you're passionate about that's going to put you in front of the people that you have a common interest with, right? Because it's going to be easier to make connections with people who you are already going to church with or dancing with or boating with, whatever the connection is, or you're volunteering. And then it's not about you just promoting yourself. It's really about how can you serve? How can you fill a need? How can you answer a question, provide a value to them that they wouldn't normally think of? So understanding who you are first, I think, is huge, because you can't be the jack of all trades, a master of none. You got to find your people, right? Because your people will be there.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes we try to market to everyone, and at the end of the day, I mean, luckily, as you continue on in real estate, you can pick and choose what kind of clients you want to work with, because it's the same. It's not only clients interviewing me, but it's me interviewing them. Do I really want to work with these people? Because if I have to ask, if I have to assert my value and just kind of reiterate who I am and what I do, they're not really going to trust me and the advice that I'm giving them professionally when I'm looking at market stats and I'm saying, okay, well, the seller controls the condition of the property, and maybe this property is in the best condition, and maybe in an ideal market it would be $50,000 more, but because there's deferred maintenance, it's going to be a lot less. So you have to, be honest in a very tactful way and authentic. But so sometimes it's me also interviewing them. But to get back to what you were asking me, I just feel like there has to be desire and drive. You have to have a good mentor. You need to know your why. You need to have the systems in place, and you need to find your people. Like just continue to stay top of mind in whatever your platform is. If it's, Instagram or Facebook, or it's no social at all, maybe it's just in person where you're volunteering at, some thrift store. I have no idea, whatever it is. Or
Whatever it is. Yeah. Got you. So let me ask you this. And so you mentioned something that I want to touch about or get into. So you mentioned you had personal things going on each year of the last 6 or 7 years in your business. So my first question is, how has that shaped you as a person? And then second question is, what skills and attributes have you brought from those experiences to your real estate business to make you more successful?
Great question.
Boy, that's going to make me cry.
Oh man.
Hey,
well,
that's real and authentic.
That's why it's called Real Talking Real Estate.
Real talking real estate.
Tissue. Let me just say, oh my gosh. Okay, so.
Do you need a second?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
But I appreciate that. So, at the end of the day, all we have, our legacy, is really how we've loved and how we've served and the relationships we built with other people, right?
Right.
So, like a few years ago, I had a health issue, and so even my doctor said, hey, Lucia, you need to go get your things in order, like have a living will and have a healthcare surrogate and this and that and the other, because it was a high risk surgery. And before that, I was very stressed. You know, there was like complications. I had diverticulitis and all this stuff. It was not fun. And so that year, I remember it was July, I think it was 2017 or so. And I just thought, I was actually in the emergency room the night that I got an email saying I had been selected to do Jacksonville's Dancing with the Stars. And I thought, well, if I survive this surgery, I'll do Jacksonville's Dancing with the Stars.
Good stuff.
That was like this little thing, like, you know what, let's just live life to the fullest, right? Because life doesn't go, you know, according to our plans sometimes. I mean, for example, I never really wanted to be divorced. I wanted to have a long time marriage with my husband. And so you have to mourn the loss of that. You have to mourn the loss of the life that you wanted to have, and embrace what you're living in right now.
Yes.
Right. And so I came out of that surgery and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do anything. I felt great afterwards. And then the most recent about this whole flood. As I mentioned before, I labeled myself as a victim, and I was very raw. And people saw me being very authentic and raw on Facebook because they were asking for, and I just said, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. Please don't ask me how I'm doing, because as soon as somebody said to me, how are you doing? I would just start crying. I'd just burst out and cry. And that's you just being real. This is real talk in real estate. This is real, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can only be who you are. And some people don't want to show that, but we all have gone through difficult times. And so it's either going to make you go into this spiral of depression and say, oh, woe is me, or you're going to overcome it and say, you know what? No, I'm going to be a victor, not a victim.
Right.
And I just decided it was, so I went to a Tony Robbins event.
Okay.
So Hurricane Ian happened September 29th. And then I had already scheduled to go to this Tony Robbins event. It's called Unleash the Power Within in November, first weekend in November. And the first day I was there, it was, you know, several hours of just mindset, your mindset. Where are you? What do you want in life? And I was just miserable. I was crying. I was just like, why am I here? Why did I decide to come? Well, by the end of that night, which they're long days, they're 12, 14-hour days, guess what? And you kind of know already.
Wow.
Yeah.
I walked on freaking 2,000-degree coals. I walked like a whole 25 feet, 2,000 degrees, because I changed my mindset. And I said, if I can do this, I can do anything, right? And I can overcome, and I can change my mindset and say, you know what, let me put my big girl panties on and move on, because I'm not going to let this be the end of me enjoying life and having goals and serving others. And so when I came back from Tony Robbins, like literally 2 days later, Hurricane Nicole came and flooded my house again. So then I had to put all that I learned into action. Wow. And knowledge is great, but execution trumps knowledge.
Absolutely.
Right? I have this little sticker right here on my computer. Execution. What's that?
What does it say?
It says execution trumps knowledge.
Got it.
Gotcha.
It doesn't matter how much we know. It matters that we use it, that we utilize it.
That's good.
So that was a really long answer, Maurice, to your question. But I would say that if you're a follower of Tony, and he's a business and life strategist, right? He's really teaching you strategies to overcome the setbacks that we have in life, but not to have any self-limiting beliefs like, oh, I could never sell a $5 million house, or no, I'm not good enough for this. I can, if I set that on my vision board and I say, this is what I'm going to do, and I have the right affirmations, and I write it down every day, and I write down my goals, my goals for the year, how much exactly I want to make, how many houses I want to list. You can truly manifest that and turn your life around once you write them down. That's why knowing yourself is so important. And you have to dig down deep and realize, okay, why am I thinking this way?
Yeah.
I can address these issues.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Right?
So you talked about manifestation. You talked about that. So how deep do you go when you're trying to manifest certain things in your life? Like, how deep do you go with that?
You have to get very granular. So you make a vision board. You know, I made a vision board beginning of the first weekend in January this year.
Mhm.
I put on there personal, business, travel, very, very granular, even the way I want my house to look when it's finished, okay, when it gets remodeled. And we just started the process 9 months later. And do you know that by March, I had probably about 5 or 6 of those items already happen? They already came true. They manifested themselves because I was looking at that vision board every day. So that along, Chris, with writing out my affirmations, who I am, I'm a high value woman. I'm deserving of this, that, and the other. I'm deserving of all these things. Who do I represent myself to be? You know, I'm an educated, warm, I have a lot of skills that I bring to the table. And so that self-love is so important that we believe in ourselves, because if we don't love ourselves, we can't share that love with other people.
Self-love.
And they're going to believe that you're fake, and you're just putting on this mask that's really not you. If you're faking this, right, you really have to be authentic and true to yourself and say, what are the things I really need to work on to really be the best version of myself? And so I had to learn to take what happened and flip it and pivot, right? And Tony Robbins says this a lot. He says, you know, and I don't think he's the originator of this quote, but he says, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
That's good.
And when you realize that life happens for you, then your life completely changes, and you're naturally manifesting those things that you want, right? So and you know what it starts with? It starts with living in gratitude. Because if you're a little jealous of whoever, and I don't live that way. I feel like I just want to be better than I was yesterday, right? And I'm the one who's like you guys invited me to be here. I am so happy for you with this podcast. I'm like, this is awesome. And it's like, I want to tell everybody about your podcast. I want to help the other person. It's not about me competing. There's plenty of real estate for everybody. There really is. And so if you're helping lift each other up, and we're elevating our profession so that we're not, you know, the stereotype is not made like we're all these other people that just door openers. We're doing a great job of elevating our profession. You guys are right now with this podcast, because we're talking truth here, and the value that we bring to help people, because they're going through so many emotional things, financial issues, the stress of moving, that we really need to be there and be good advocates for them and to help them and say, you know what, these are the 3 options you're going to have when we get to this part of the transaction, or this is how we can handle this at the beginning. And so there's so much value add that we can bring to the table that I'm just excited to share.
I have a question for you. So here's one. So as because you're successful, you're doing some amazing things. But when things are not just going as planned, and you're feeling a little woe is me, things are happening in your life, what do you do mentally to get you back charged up and back in the game?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because, you know, we all have those beliefs, and you got to really train your brain to snap out of that. I had a personal situation where, you know, it was like, okay, why is this happening to me, kind of a thing. And I have like 5 stickers, the Post-it notes on my computer. And one of them is for rejection. Whether it's, I didn't get the listing, whatever the case is. For me, what I train my mind to say is that basically kind of something similar to what I'm going to read to you.
Okay.
It says, so whenever you experience rejection, I say, this is what I believe. I hid your value from them because they were not assigned to help you with your destiny. Is that a drop mic?
That's good right there. That's good. That's a good one.
Okay, so, and I'll say it again. So for example, if someone doesn't recognize the value I bring, then they were not assigned to help me with my destiny. So if I didn't get a certain listing, then maybe God wants me to have something else that's going to require more of my time.
Yeah.
And if I would have had that person who really didn't value me, was really going to kind of be high maintenance, and I hate to say that, but, you know, need a lot more than whatever I needed to give, maybe I'm not their person. You know, I'm not the person to help them in this real estate journey, right? In this real estate transaction. So when I look at it like that, it changes everything to me. I can release it. I can let it go and say, you know what? There's something else better out there for me. And although I can't see it right now, you got to be comfortable in your own skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to know what you have, what you bring to the table, and work on yourself and bring those skills. And, you know, to be totally, you know, transparent here. I mean, I hadn't worked since for 9 months, practically. Let's just say September, October, November, December, January, February. For 5 months, I didn't work. I just barely got back into real estate in February, and I just started manifesting. I went to my conferences. I said, I got to get my head straight on now with real estate. And now, you know, now things are ramped up. You've got Mr. Momentum going, and I had a closing today. I have another property under contract. I have 3 more that are pending. And so things are ramping up. And why is that? It's because, first of all, I'm not going to just sit on my laurels. But second of all, I'm not worried about, I don't have a scarcity mindset. I have an abundance mindset. And I think that is also another big component.
Gotcha. So I want to talk about something really quick. And we've sat down and talked. Me and Chris still go to the same church. We've talked as believers. So I want to know how has your faith and your belief have helped you get over those obstacles you've had, you know what I'm saying, whether it be personal, professional, and it's just helped you get along to move forward, to continue to do what you do. How has that helped you out?
My faith has increased 1,000-fold, I would say. And, you know, often we don't understand why things are happening to us, but you have to have trust, because you can't live in fear and in faith at the same time.
Doesn't work. It
doesn't work that way. You're either going to live in fear, or you're going to be anxious, or you're going to live in faith that God's going to provide.
Yes.
And was I worried about 5 or 6 months of not being in real estate? I'm a single woman. I don't have any other income, right? Yeah. I believe that God will provide for me, because I'm a child of God. I'm his queen. You know, I'm a queen.
Yes.
And as long as I keep doing the right thing and treating people the way that he would want me to treat them, and serve them with my heart and with great skills, because he gives us free will, right? We have free will to continue to be, because at the end of the day, as you know, we're going to be held responsible for all the things that we've said, all the things we haven't said, the things that we've done and should have done. And I feel that's a tremendous responsibility. So yes, my faith has grown a whole lot, and not just in him, but in humanity, because I was a recipient firsthand of so many generous people that I haven't even had the opportunity to thank, because, you know, my old Facebook account was disabled, and there were so many people came out that through the country reached out to me, because what happened was I had done this interview, or I had done this video of my house and the flood, for example, and the Weather Channel took it, and they spliced it and diced it and acted as if they interviewed me, but they hadn't, because I was still in my house. So the next thing I know, it's on national media.
Oh, wow.
And then it's on TikTok, and it's getting like 70,000 views the first hour. And I'm like, what? I'm not even on TikTok, you know? But so many people are reaching out with their prayers and saying, can we help you? Can we do anything? And I truly live in gratitude, because I realize people, I think we're all good people. And just that prayer, or offering to bring dinner, or offering to send me an Amazon gift card, or what have you, just because it touched them in some way, because it could be in your sister, your brother, your mother, whoever, right? That made me have more faith in humanity, that we have so much more in common than we do differences. It doesn't matter the color of our skin, religious affiliation, political affiliation. We're just here to serve people. And if we treat other people as human beings, another beautiful human soul, then eventually it'll all come back to you. You reap what you sow, right?
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
showed me a tremendous amount of faith in myself and in this beautiful world that we live in, and how beautiful people can be. And we really need to harness the power of that.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. So you 8 years you've been in the industry doing your thing on a major scale. What's the next 5, 10 years look like?
Or even 15.
Oh gosh, the sky's the limit, right?
Mhm.
I'm just open to where the Holy Spirit guides me.
Mm.
I feel like there are a couple of things that I'd like to accomplish, if
Okay.
Lord willing. That is speaking on a national level, perhaps, and really helping to mold and shape new realtors. Speaking about my personal situation with flooding and hurricanes and how to serve others, be a resource to give them the links, the contacts, so they don't feel alone. And like I did, just a mess, didn't know what the heck I was doing. To know that we do care. We're not just a transaction. We're about relationships. Our business is relationship based. And if you're in it because you think it's transaction based, you're in the wrong business.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm.
So writing the book and continuing to travel. Before all of this happened with the hurricane, I had already started writing The Adventures of Lulu the Little Red Tug. And she's such a cute, tugboat. Everyone wants to take pictures next to her. And, she's a little 25-foot Ranger tug. She's red, and she's here in the St. Augustine Municipal Marina. So I really like to write a children's book teaching them about the parts of a boat, about how to overcome adversity, how to change your mindset.
That's good.
How to appreciate sea creatures and really truly, ocean life, because we are all dependent on one another, right? So conservation. So that's what I hope the next 10 to 15 years in my personal life and in real estate. In real estate, yeah, I'd love to be able to sell, $50 million of real estate or $20 million in real estate. And build a great team of like-minded individuals who really truly care about serving others.
Gotcha.
Do you think that you will stay on the sales side, or you think you have aspirations to go into the management side, ever go corporate?
I'm open to those things. Early on in my career, I was asked to join management, but I felt like I had only been in the business 2 years. I really didn't feel like I was in a place of experience to speak to that and do what a broker does, right? But that's something I would love to consider. Sure.
Gotcha. So Lucia, you're a world traveler. Been to Bali, Dubai, Egypt, Fiji. I know you have aspirations of buying property in a foreign land. So what country would you like to buy a piece of property in, and why?
That's a good question. Okay, so I traveled to Bali 2 Christmases ago during COVID. I have a daughter who was living there for 6 months, and so I went over there. It's a gorgeous country, just beautiful, and I love scuba diving. So, but you can't buy real estate in Bali.
Nope.
You can only rent it, lease it. Okay, so only the Balinese people can purchase. So unless you make really, really, really good friends with someone from Bali and get them to purchase it for you, that's the only way you can acquire real estate there. So I would first say I'd love Bali, but that's a little bit of a distance, right? It's like 14 hours or so to get there. I would probably buy in one of the Latin American countries because you could just live so well there. Costa Rica is a little bit over, a lot of expatriates here. I love Costa Rica, sure, and I'm a Spanish speaker. So, but I would say probably Panama, Colombia, Guatemala, Honduras. I would buy in any of those countries, maybe still Costa Rica.
Okay.
Because your quality of life is there. It's really cheap to live there. You can acquire the real estate pretty easily, and there's still English speakers, so that if you don't speak another language, they could still help you.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. You got another question, Chris?
I do. We start all over in real estate.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What's the first thing you're going to do, and how are you going to get it done?
when I start as a brand new person in real estate.
Brand new person.
Knowing what you know now,
Knowing what
you're
you know
starting
now.
over.
You're
know
starting
now.
all over.
I would say I would earn my CRS designation, my Certified Residential Specialist designation. You're learning from the best realtors from all over the country, the best, 2%, only 38,000 of 1.6 million realtors. You're learning best practices from them. That's really going to set you apart. So be a sponge, join, the Residential Real Estate Council, get a mentor, follow them around, shadow them, do open houses, know your why, know your reasons why, have a good business plan, have a good systems in place, and just be willing to work really hard and continue to serve from your heart. And how can you fill a need, answer a problem, answer a question, resolve a problem? And I think that's going to set you up, especially with a good mindset. Mindset of, I can do this, I have the skills, I'm competent, and live in gratitude, and you will have it all come back to you.
I love it.
Gotcha. I have one more question, Chris, really quick.
Okay.
So you've mentioned education, you've talked about being mentors. What are your thoughts on coaching? Because that's a totally different ball game. That's very different than being a mentor. Do agents need a coach? Not need a coach? What is your opinion on coaching?
Yes. That's the short answer. Yes. So, in any sport, look at professional baseball players, softball, whatever you want to be good in, you need a coach. And you're going to get there so much quicker if you have a coach. So did I start with a coach? Yes. I still have, I have 2 real estate coaches. You might need a life coach. I don't know. It's the best. That's the best investment you can make in yourself, not only just in real estate, but in yourself, because they're going to point out, they're going to have those little come to Jesus meetings with you. And you're like, crying all over yourself. And you're like, okay, you've got 2 options. Either you get up or you're going to label yourself and you're going to stay this way. So follow people on YouTube that are inspirational, like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. Follow real estate coaches. Get those best practices in and just be a sponge and soak it all up. So yes.
I like it.
I don't have any more questions, Chris.
What would you like to tell? You can have the parting words. What would you like to tell a brand new agent who just got into business, or a seasoned agent who just feeling in a funk? What words of encouragement would you like to share with them?
Just do the best you can under the circumstances. Do the best that you can. Just continue to serve, and don't be so hard on yourself, because I definitely live that. And just be better than you were yesterday.
You're only competing against yourself.
Right. Just be the best. Bring your best game every single day and live in gratitude. That would be, I think, if you live in gratitude, you can't be jealous of anyone else. You can just be thankful. Be thankful for the big and the little things, for the sunset, for the sunrise, for your time and energy are the most valuable resources that you have. And anytime you get to be in front of someone, whether it's a listing consultation or a buyer consultation, you can always learn from them. So if you have that mindset and you think, don't be attached to the outcome, but be attached to connecting with that person, you're always going to win.
That's good.
Gotcha.
That's good.
Gotcha. Well, man.
Absolutely a great man. This time went by fast.
Yeah, it did.
I know, right?
Man,
wow.
This is we say this all the time. This is definitely got to be a part 2, because there's so many more things that we could go, so many more directions. I felt like we had to rush it or something to try to get some of the answers to the questions.
Well,
yeah, you're a great job. Great way to be authentic. Really share from the heart. I can tell that you're passionate about what you're saying.
Yes.
So from the bottom of our heart, our show, we thank you for just being here on the show. We
thank you.
I love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's so cool. You can play the outro music now too.
I know, right? We need some outro. Hey, that's what we need. So we need to put that together as well.
Kind of get into that stuff. I liked it.
I know you like the dancing with the Star Champion here, so we got to up our game.
No, but it's been an honor and a pleasure, truly. I really do appreciate it, and I'd love to come back again. Sure.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. One more thing before you go, we gotta get a picture with Lulu one day.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. You want to Lulu?
I want a picture with Lulu. Yes, absolutely. If everybody else got one, I want one too.
Yeah.
I'll share it with you. I'll share it on your
No,
page.
I want to come to Lulu and get my own picture.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Wait, why don't we do a podcast from Lulu?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Hey, don't tempt me because
Don't
I
tell us.
go for it now.
We'll do it.
Yeah, that
Let's
would
do
be
it.
cool.
That'd be
Absolutely cool.
Real
Yeah.
quick before I forget, go ahead and shit. Your books, are they out yet? Can they go get it? What's going on?
Oh yeah.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I wanted to get it started before hurricane season, but it hasn't happened. It's still being finished up, edited, all those kinds of things. Yeah.
Okay.
So when are you expecting the books to be out so people will know when to look for them?
I don't know.
Oh, I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm waiting for an update. So
Maybe,
before the end of the year for sure. I just don't.
Okay.
I'll probably miss this hurricane season, but it'll be. I'll let you know. You'll be the first to know.
there you go. There you go. We're gonna
Exclusive.
drop it on this
I love
show.
it.
We're gonna
That's
drop it on this show.
Start
Yeah.
local, live and local here.
Live and local right here on this show.
Yes. As we
Well, again, we thank
broadcast
you for
live
being
from Lulu.
Yeah, we thank you for being on the show, sharing from your
Thank you
heart,
so much.
being authentic from the bottom of my heart. We appreciate everything that you're
Thank
doing. Continue much success in all of your endeavors.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Maurice. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one. All right,
Bye. Have a good evening. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.